Hello and welcome to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. And for this episode, we're making our first venture into South America. And South Americans are not maybe so prevalent in Tasmania, but the population has been growing, I think, in the last few years. And today the country we're going to is Peru. I welcome Carlos, who's quite a long-term resident of Tasmania. And what's really interesting, I think, about Carlos is that when he arrived, there were very few South Americans, and I'm really interested to hear about his experiences of arriving here. So welcome, Carlos. Could you tell us about how did you end up to be in Tasmania? I believe it's quite a story.
First, it started when I was in Peru around 72. My parents arrived to Tasmania with one of my sisters, and I will come after. And then in two occasions, I tried to apply for residence to live in Australia. In two occasions, I was denied, possibly because I got family in Peru. Then in 84, I come up as a tourist for 3 months with the return ticket for 3 months. And then after celebrating Christmas with the family, then I have the opportunity to stay here in Australia. I've been given the message. They say it's possible me to apply for resident when I as a tourist, long as my family apply on my behalf. In the case, I know will become illegal immigrant. And this was the story how I arrived to Tasmania, directly from Peru, Lima, to Tasmania. And when I arrived as a tourist, I didn't have any English, It was a little hard in communication, but having my family here will help me to have a good time.
Yeah. And so how come your mother had come here before you?
My mother and I and my sister, my mother was living in Lima, and then she met a foreigner from England. They arrived to Peru for purpose of working purpose, and then when I meet my mother, and then they have an agreement he will come back to Peru to be with my mother. And a year later, he arrived and he proposed to my mother to take her and my sister with only go to South American country near Peru for work. And then a year after, come back with 3 saying they moving to England. And then possibly will take me after. They moved to England and then they didn't settle very well there and decide to come to live in Tasmania. It was around 72.
Wow, that's quite a big journey. Peru, UK, back to Tasmania.
Yes.
But why did they come to Tasmania?
Because my stepfather say it's similar weather than England, and Tasmania is a place with the best place for brought children in Tasmania.
Okay.
And then my parents have one child in England, and then 2 children here in Australia. I got 1 brother and 2 sisters. And plus my sister from South America, my blood is another sister. So 2 sisters and 1 brother. 3 sisters and 1 brother living here in Australia.
So from, 1972 to 1984, you were still in Peru?
Still in Peru all these years. And I was living in Peru and by myself. Since I went to school by myself, I studied all by myself, I worked by myself, because after 2 years I was denied the visa and I lost hope to come to Australia.
So what was it like being on your own, going to school? I mean, you must have been quite young.
Yeah, I was 12 years old when they left. And they left me with my grandmother. My grandmother, for her age, was able to look after me, and I independent myself when I was 14. And then since then, I just live traveling in the street. I have a life to learn, because my childhood was very, very privileged. I have nuns. I have me and my sister. Never we suffer any poverty. We always my mother have a business to look after us until they left. Then when I left, by myself, I didn't have any support. I was living and plus study. When they left me 2 years later, I finished my primary. Then I went to secondary. And Since then, always my mother used to tell me to continue study because if I one day I will come to this country, they will accept me because they know accepting people without literacy or education. And this is the reason I'll continue study and working. And I was able to so living thanks to the education I have in my childhood. I was able to progress in my life because it's very difficult in poverty to be somebody.
Yeah. So what was school like in Peru?
School was what I say because I suffered a polio when I was a child, 2 years old. I have always rival, and because it's a lot of discrimination with people with disability, and teach us to defend ourselves and be ourselves. And I grow up that way, trying to go for the right track, and always I go against injustice of other people. Before my parents left, I was in private school. Private school where you go there for a week and then you come on weekend. And then after they left, I had to go to public school. In public school, it's more rough, more difficult to learn. But only where you got, you have to get through. It's the only education you can receive. Would I say, thanks to my parents, I continue because it was very difficult to continue educate myself.
And so when you were at high school, how did you see your future?
No, the future is day by day. You can't predict your future because the necessity is every day. And you're not able to travel around your country, you're not able to visit in tourist places. It's necessity not able to know your own country. Only you can live by day. This is the survival in Peru. And my mother used to send me every couple months $50, and it used to be a lot of money. And with that, I used to lift myself up and try to put a little business, selling things in the street or buying and selling things. And with this, I was able to keep me going.
Yeah. So what was sort of the general situation in Peru at the time?
Peru at the time, really, by living there, I didn't notice how horrible, how terrible was the country. It used to be terrorist groups, the Shining Path. They used to go and force people to do things they no was able to, or forcing them to swap drugs for firearms. And all these things I was witness when I was living in the country, and I saw the necessity forced them to fight against the government. And I noticed too the influence from outside, not from the country. People coming for the drugs, bribing people, and put it against own brothers. This is where I noticed the problem in South America and the corruption. We're living in a society where everybody's corrupted since you born after you die. And this is the culture, and it's very difficult to change it one day to the other. And I believe only with education is capable to change all this.
So just so people listening understand, what do you mean when you say corruption? What would be an example?
The corruption is because the necessity you force to bribe, to be able to pass through the regulations, to pass through the normal life. For $1, the police stop you, either not have any issues, stop you just to ask you for bribe. If you not pay, you get booked. And this is why the necessity, the police is not well paid, the doctors, the nurses is not well paid, and everybody's in necessity. And because it's no control and everybody do it, it's normal. And this is why we have a problem. But now it's changing, lack of the economy is improving in this moment, and more children's educated, more parents educated children to change the attitude thanks to education.
Then you came to Australia on holiday. Were you expecting to go back to Peru?
Yes, I was expecting back to Peru because I left everything I have. I left it all, my friends, my business, I left my girlfriend, I left my items, my living stuff, my belongings, and with the expectation they're going back in 3 months. Then when I come here and I got the news to say no, I have possibility to stay, I always agreed to stay here. I didn't like it. I didn't understand. I didn't speak the language. I didn't like the weather. I didn't like the food. Really, really, no one please to bring me back. But with the parents, it's very difficult to argue. And they saw different things than I saw at the moment. But my intention was go back. And now thinking about it, it's for many reasons I want it back. Even it's not the longer the reason is important. At that moment was really struggling to withdraw from drug. This is why one of the reasons I want to go back. It's false, because it's, in that moment, I didn't see the opportunity. I see just want to go back to my old lifestyle, easy life. When I arrived, here was like us to die. Was different. People is less friendly, less people, less opportunities, less communication with the locals, because in that period was only the people who built Tasmania was gathering in the place. When I arrived here, it was the Italians, the Greeks, the German, and the Polish. Yeah, they was the ones who built Tasmania.
Yeah.
Because I believe they come up in the 50s for the hydro of building the dam or working in the mines. And from Chile was one family. The only people I saw, one family, the Chileans, they only speak Spanish in whole Tasmania. And no Peruvian, no other countries. And the other thing I noticed too, Aborigines. The Aborigines was there, here, but then in small groups. And the Aborigines was the most friendly people when I arrived. The ones I feel welcome by them. The people I feel more familiar because where I come from too, I saw people discriminated, and then there was more, I feel more brotherhood because they was more, I learned more from them here in Tasmania because they really welcome me, maybe because it's a foreigner or because we got the same color skin. Mm-hmm. And I feel really like a brotherhood, and they used to look after me when we used to go out. Even people... And the people used to make a hard times. And it took me 1 year to know if I stay here or not. I had to wait for 12 months to the decision, because every 3 months they used to ask me for birth certificate. 3 months later for student certificate. 3 months later for police certificate. For me in the period, or for my family, was difficult. Where I say before, it's very corrupted system. And the documents not coming in time, and you have to wait long, and we have to send money to be able to do all the paperwork legally, and this is why the reason took it so long. And plus the government asked me every 3 months for something, couldn't ask me all in once, and this was my frustration. In the last interview with the immigration, I was there, and they asked me very uncomfortable questions, and I decided to give up. Even my parents interpret that they are upset for my decision, and I couldn't handle it, and I was giving up everything when I got back. Even my attitude in front of the office of immigration was no nice, because I left the office and wait outside for my parents. When returning home with my parents, I asked them to let me go. And they say, no, we have to wait for immigration. They got your passport, you can't go after, and they give us. In that case, I say to my mother, give me my tip money you've been giving me every month. I'm going to Melbourne. They upset because they say I couldn't speak the language. I don't know anybody, and how I can go there when I know I have to be here waiting for the decision. I say to my parents, I know I'm going to be denied, and I want to go because I can work, make money, send it to you, and when they catch me as illegal, they will deport me, and with the money I make here, you will be able to send me back, and I'll be able to continue my business. And then this was my plan. I ended up in Melbourne, in the city, after catching the bus from the airport. I didn't have nowhere to go. I didn't know anybody. And suddenly, somebody told me to go to the corner was the police station. I went to the police station and they asked me to wait, and they give me to call the Peruvian club. They give me the number and I run the Peruvian club, and a secretary answered me and recognized me and then come up and picked me up and took me to the president's house. And since then, I was able to find a work. Then he put me in a job making meat pies. The business asked me for my passport to be able to get pie. Because I didn't have a passport, I say, only give me half, and the other half when I get my passport. I knew it, the passport is not in my hands, but it's the only things I can do to be able to continue surviving. And I decided to give up the work and then moving from Melbourne to Sydney. I rang my parents to tell them I am in Sydney, no longer in Melbourne. And this is when I have the news saying, Carlos, I got your passport, my mother say, and say, you got the resident visa. I was happy, and I asked them to send me the passport to be able to apply for help at the government. And I was able to stay there 6 months. I realized no future there. I need to have more English. I had to educate myself. I realized that, and I couldn't go more further because the money I receive is only for surviving, not for nothing else. And I decided to come to Tasmania and learn some English. Then I come to Tasmania. I was able to learn the first 2 months, and then I started recycling things from things I find in the rubbish. I started recycling, and I was able to sell it at the market after fixing things. Mm-hmm. And since then, I started practicing craft, and somebody suggested me to go to university, apply for a place in the uni for kind of works I do. At the moment, no English, the only things I have is my body language. The only way I learn to communicate through my experience in life. They don't need to speak any language to be able to communicate to people. And then plus what I'm practicing is art. The same, I think, the art is no language, a specific language to communicate art. It's visual, it's emotional, and it's something I can have something to express. This is the way I went to university, and I was able to, with the help of friends, I was able to apply, and I was accepted with the condition I'm only going to do a social diploma. But I was disagreed because my age is higher, I was older, and plus if I do a social diploma, I have to do it 3 years more for the Bachelor of Fine Art. And then I decided to refuse the offer, and they offered me, the second offer was, I will do a Bachelor of Fine Art, but if I pass the first year in social diploma. They say I will do it 5 subjects, and stage 3 is social diploma. I will do it 5 subjects. If I pass the 5 subjects, automatically I will go to second year of Bachelor of Fine Art. I put all the effort for the first year. I worked more than 12 hours a day to able to prove, and I was impressed to my teachers. I impressed the hard work I do, and then I was able to pass the first year. The second year too, I was doing 5 subjects, all in English, and I have a problem. The language I did in Spanish and translated into English after, and I was able to do my essays and all my exams. And the same, I passed the second year with higher marks, and then I went the third year, and then is when I feel the impact of the education. I have to learn English, I have to read and write, I have to do all that. But what I see persistent, I know I was able to learn, but I persist with my ideology to say I don't need to learn English to able to do what I can do with my hands. I can express English through my hands for the limitation of education in English. And I was able to convince and prove it, and improve it myself too. Since a child, always I wished to study, but because the necessity, able to go to university in Peru, because it's the quantity of millions of people applying, and only if financially you can afford to, is important. And I know was I. But then thanks to this country, give me the opportunity to study, to improve myself, and now I'm very gratified.
So then after you graduated, how did things work out?
Well, with the intention to continue as an artist, doing exhibitions, doing craft, practicing, took me at least 3 years, nearly 4 years to get all the equipment for making good quality fine art. And my concentration was just making furniture, craft objects. I was able to commercialize before I finished because people used to be very interested in my work, and I have a opportunity to be able to be different and unique. And the other thing, I believe I get through to university. I believe not because I was better than the others. Even I have a better marks than the others who are professionals, but confuse me in the moment because I say, how I can have a better marks than other person who have a qualify as a carpenter, qualify as a panel beater. How can have a when I don't have all this experience? And I went and asked to the principal why, because I have a conflict with the other students because they think no, they do me a favor. I went and asked, and the principal explained me, say, Carlos, we let you pass, not because you better than the others, it's because you're different, and then your work is practical. You can produce a table, igual 4 legs than the others, but just got character, just got colors, just got something different than the other plants. And this is why we try to introduce your style to others, to see what the difference is. The other ones can be beautiful, the piece of work, but it's not character. Yours got character, but not finish equal the others, but eventually you will catch up. And this is what I understood, and then this is what helped me to continue improving myself. And what I said before, everything I do, I feel I can do it better next one. And this encouraged me to continue improving my perfection.
So it must have given you a lot of confidence to hear that from the principal if you were doubting yourself a bit.
Yes. Plus, it's something logic what I didn't see at the moment. I didn't see really like people saying I got talent, but I don't see myself I got talent. And then the only things I believe is when you persist and then you get it what you're looking for. This persisting make you achieve and get what you want. And to me, this was my way to get through. And I was able, after finishing my degree, took me a little effort to get machineries, to get all the equipment, because to produce a good quality work, you have to have the best equipment to be able to produce quality. And I was in the period building my workshop in North Hobart, to have a warehouse. And the year I was planning to do my exhibition, I was able to have a relationship with an Australian lady, and we ended up having 3 children after 3 years. 3 children, and I was able, before that I have another daughter with another Australian lady, means I got 2 daughters and 2 boys and 2 ladies. They was young, I was really keen to be with them, means I had to postpone all my art and my work because it's more important to me and my family. All my life I was aiming to have one. And I concentrated on them and postponed, and then 5 years later, I still continue working, but not in mass production or not making much effort. And when the children just grow up, then I started producing more. Now they are in his 20s, and now I have a little bit more space for me to spend in my art. And the problem I have with the Australian ladies, I was able to have a long relationship, only the children's born. And then we separated, and the same the others. I don't understand why my destiny was like that, but I have an idea. Much different, influence a lot of cultural relationship too. Yes, and then I have the children. So I have very proud of my children. Now they are grow up, they educated, and now I was able to think of myself. And this is what in the process to do my solo exhibition, concentrate my art, and establishing myself permanent in one place. Before I used to move in different places because workshop was a permanent place, and I had to move in different, maybe 10 times I moved in the whole 30 years. And another thing I've been aiming to do is a social club, Peruvian social club. Mm-hmm. And this too is for me is a satisfaction. Now it's a reality. and I will be able to share my knowledge, to share my skills, and as an artist, I will be able to represent the community. When I arrived to Tasmania, it was illegal to bring refugees to Tasmania. No was any refugees, no was any, only people who want to live here. And then a year and a half later, I was staying in Australia. I was joining a community migrant resource center. And the migrant resource center and the meetings, we suggested to bring more people to Tasmania because the economy is going down and the population is reducing and the young people is leaving the state looking for work. After that, we suggested to the immigration to be able to get selected refugees from the country of origin directly to Tasmania, and then young family with the young children to be able to being educated in Tasmania, and then in the future the children will be helping to the community when they are professionals. And this was the theory in that period when we arrived to Tasmania. And then a year later started arriving the refugees. Started arriving first from Laos and Vietnam. And I noticed that they started contributing to the community by selling products they produce at the market, in the local market. And the community start prosper, helping each other. And then we agreed to give you a migrant resource center arrangements to able to get leasing a land to able to produce the products and to grow the products to be able to produce, because the majority of the refugees who arrive in the city, they used to grow the produce in the garden, in the house. But because the traffic and because the pollution in the city, no will give you good products to them. This was decided to give you a piece of land then in the country, and then they are able to get together and produce the plants. And this was the help. And then the Vietnamese arrived. They have their own community that was able to help himself. And then the Chileans arrived. And this is why we gathering as a group of Tasmania. We get together the migrants to make a plan how we're going to receive the people. When the people arrived, it was very difficult because no was the human resources to able to help, because the people used to come in clinically traumatized. They used to come really affected by the moving the country, moving the culture. The one died to other, because the day before they arrived, they didn't know they will come to Tasmania. They didn't know a week before, they didn't know where they're going. And only they try to escape the country. And this is why we organize here to able to accept it and able to help it to introduce to the community, able to settle in the community, try to support them to able not suffer in their arrival. And I noticed after 2 years, I noticed nearly half of the refugees we helped, they really went to mainland or separated or have a conflict and family conflicts, or having mental problems. And we realized this is because we didn't was prepared for them to able to help it. Then realized that, and we will be able to, with professional help, to be able to help the families. And the conflict they used to have as a family, it was very difficult cultural way, because the man of the family used to feel the cultural shock by him taking away his rights of giving the support to the family, because in South America, the man is who bring all the money, bring the work, and bring in the house all the needs. In Australia, they was feeling very uncomfortable because they feeling no was able to be helping, and this is frustration for them to feel impotent, couldn't speak the language, couldn't go to the corner to the shop, were they sick, not able to express. All these things mentally affecting to all this family. And plus, when they arrived, we put them in a little room, a little flat, and we noticed they used to argue all the time, seeing every day each other, couldn't go away, couldn't go to another room because it's solamente in one room. And this was affecting them too. We noticed that, and we tried to have psychologists, psychiatrists to be able to help to mental because it was the majority traumatized by torture. And this is why we gathered groups of the same community to able to do festivities, to get families to come back, from their families to be able to reunion their family, and they will help. They help a lot. This way we try to make them more comfortable. But they know it was easy for them to adapt it. What I say, many people did the wrong things because the frustration, and now they see the benefit of the children to die. They 25, 20 years old now. They are just finished the degree, finished the profession. Now they helping us to clean the windows for the older people, to do the plumbing, the painting. Now we got a group of people who can benefit to the economy. And this is why we feel we have to continue the same way to be able to new communities to be able to be supported.
Yeah, I guess since those days, do you think things have improved?
Those days, I realized there too, it's not just they arriving here looking for work. No, we try to to keep the group together. And remember, I was able to organize them when the Chileans arrived. I was able to recognize the talent, and I put all the talent together to make a musical group called Arauco Libre. The Arauco Libre was created, I and another Chileans, the majority of Chileans, and we was able to create a band, or they was able to express the talent. And we realized they used to have a different way to represent the problem they have, because through music they want to express what they're suffering. Because the language was a barrier, we was able to change the protest music to cultural music with the protest words. Means we use the music, cultural music, with the expression of the words, but the same way what the Chile was suffering with the Pinochet, the same the Salvadorians and Nicaraguenses and all that was able to express through the music. And now we was well accepted for the community, because for them was a new music, was a new things never heard before, and we promote the music, and now they enjoy and listen.
And so, do you think your own experience of challenges you had settling here helped you help other people who?
Yeah, for example, now I tell them that you don't need English to learn to have a degree. You propose, you persist, and here is a country a fair go. If you really want it, they helping you. This is the only secret, I have. If I want something, I have to get it, persisting until I get it. And this is why then I believe anybody can do the same. Yeah. If I did it, and anybody can do it. When I say before, on top of my disability too, was difficult because of very physical work, but what I say before, I learned to live with this, and sometimes I feel more capable than able people. My intention since years ago was to gather in people from all over Australia. First, I had to get it from all over Tasmania, and now with organizing events, gathering different cultures. Like example, soccer is part of our culture. And to be able to organize, we will start with a small soccer table to be able to know people, and then after that we'll organize big event. And with these things, we try to, to gather in people. And after these barriers, after this crisis we're going through, we want to need a lot of support and gatherings to be able to get through this pandemic. Because many people being isolated, and especially the older cultures, it's very hard for them because they're not used to be isolated. Always is reunion, but we hope with this group we'll be able to contribute to the community in Tasmania, to be able to do events. My goals will be making a festival of song from Latin America and Tasmania, from all over the Australia, coming to Tasmania, representing their own country, the best singers or the best group. We'll be able to do it here, a big gathering annually.
Yep. And what as Peruvian, what's the thing you're proud of most about?
I will be proud of the people. The people, the humble, the people no see materialista, Materialists, the people, the country people. The country people, I learn a lot from them. From them, I learned the culture. Yes, this is what and then the food is the other thing, very proud. The food, we got there every time we go gathering, our introduction is with the food. And then what I said before is, yes, we got through three different kind of people living in Peru, like the Amazon, the native from the Amazon, real native, the Andes, the Incas, and the coasts, the other Incas living in the coast, used to be the city, the mestizos, mixed with the Spanish.